Peace, y'all. Peace to the family. Peace, love, and light. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome. It is August 1st. August 1st, y'all. Yeah. It is officially the 8th month of this calendar year. It means that we only got 4 months to go. We are past the midway point. August. A few days left to summer. August. Yeah, it happened that quick. Yeah, I'm in the airport, y'all, so, definitely bear with me. Yeah, can you fathom the year is almost over? And I literally remember January like it was yesterday. You know what I'm saying? I remember January like it was yesterday. I remember last January like it was yesterday, especially that I'm now, I'm here in Miami, and it recollected me back to last January when I was here. This particular trip, there were so many full circle moments, things coming into full circle, things coming into full focus. This was a very good trip, and Miami has some amazing energy. The southern part of this country, period. The southern tip. Florida, period. Florida is just a dope state. Energetically wise, logistically wise, meaning the landmass for the land that makes up Florida. Florida is a beautiful place. It's the land of flowers. It's a majestic place. It's a magical place. It was always home to magical people indigenously who did magical things. You feel me? So this is a place that is steep and replete with the magic. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's an amazing opportunity. You know what I'm saying? To be in this particular demographic and soaking up the rays. Get away from this soundboard. Yeah, y'all. So I wanted to tap in. With this being August, you know what I'm saying? And August being, this is literally where they were looking for the fountain of youth. And it's funny that you would say such a thing, because it was leading into my segue, that August is the AU month. It's the month of gold. Elemental symbol for gold. Right? AU is the elemental symbol for gold. It's no coincidence that this is when the sun is at its strongest. The lion's mane on the sun, meaning the sun rays, are the strongest. July is recorded as the warmest or the hottest month in history, right? So what you think that August is about to do? You feel me? August is about to act a fool. August is about to give everything that it promises to give. You know what I'm saying? So these are going to be some intensified months. This is not the time that you should be slowing down. This is when we accelerate. This is when you have access to the strongest amount of your willpower and your courage, because Leo is at its strongest, or the sun is at its strongest, or gold is at its most prominent, right? This is the season of the month of gold and the season of Leo in August, right? So what do we have the ability to access and tap into? Insurmountable, infinite energy, right? To open up the fullness of our potentiality, whatever that potential is, right? So August begins today and it ends on the 31st. It's going to be it's going to be a ride, for a lifetime. I don't want to say one hell of a time, That's not the terminology I would like to use, but it's going to be powerful, right? At at the end of this month, we'll be doing a retreat to Mount Shasta, and I hope that, you know, I hope some people that are on this line are privileged enough to tap in with us to catch this retreat. You know what I'm saying? I hope you guys understand the value of what these retreats entail, and you would take full advantage of it, because this is going to be an amazing experience. Let me give you a real quick commercial. So that's August 31st. That's 30 days from now, roughly. At the end of the month, at the end of August, you know, we'll be tapping into that sacred Mount Shasta energy. All right. And that last slide, it said high energy vortex points or centers, or just the overall experience. Yeah, it's always magical. These are always the magical experiences up in Mount Shasta, and this time is going to be no different. You know, I think that this time is a lot more intentional and purposeful, because the prevailing conversation is taking place in mainstream media. Is about UFOs. It's about energy. It's about subtle energy points. It's about zero gravity. It's about all of these cool things that normally, you know what I'm saying, people will relegate to pseudoscience, right? They were not paying it a lot of attention. They didn't think that these things were a real deal, or they didn't have a prevalent place in our society. You can click the link on my bio and go to ShastaMeditation.com. You know what I'm saying? And you can start your process there, right? We have a fully capable staff to handle all of your inquiries and to walk you through. Okay? So ShastaMeditation.com is the location that you want to definitely find yourself going to. We also have a retreat a month after that going to Sedona, Arizona, another celebrated vortex center of this planet. Mount Shasta is recognized as the root chakra of the planetary grid system, right? And you can ask anybody who's been there that is certified, verified, spiritual center, vortex, you know what I'm saying? All of these magical, mystical things are synonymous and take place with Mount Shasta. One of the main things is UFO sightings, because, you know, everybody up there knows that there's a base in that proximity. So you'll see a lot of craft coming out of the mountains. You'll see a lot of craft going into the mountains. You know what I'm saying? And there's activity all through the skies, nonstop, right? This trip is not necessarily billed as a UFO hunter trip, right? Just like it's not necessarily billed as a mushroom foraging trip. But I'm sure we'll be getting into a little bit of all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because the environment just calls for it. We'll be starting off our journeys, leaving out of Oregon. I think the first day we're going to spend in Oregon. And Oregon is just a magical place as well. It's a beautiful, mystical place. The beauty of these places alone does something to your consciousness and your subconsciousness. Let alone, you know what I'm saying, in addition to you taking anything that's external to enhance your experience, just the visuals alone, just the environment, you know what I'm saying, just being in that magnetic field, that vortex of energy alone, it recalibrates you. You know what I mean? It helps reset your entire perspective on life. Because when you get to these high vibrational points, it's impossible to have attitudes. It's impossible to be angry at life. It's impossible, you know, to just like, to be in a defeatist mindset. You feel me? I really want to overemphasize the expansiveness of consciousness. You know, that's what I'm walking away this weekend with. You know, I had a very long conversation here on live yesterday, just laying some things out. And I want to continue those conversations. I want to keep the same energy, you know, until we create a whole bubble that ultimately bursts, right? Of magnificence, you know. And we gotta challenge ignorance. We gotta defeat ignorance. You know, ignorance is holding us back. You know, ignorance is holding us back. And the only way that we could really know is if we are experiential. We have to have these experiences. When we were at the Forbidden Knowledge Conscious Award, again, the thing that I took note of, and my focus is never to create a dichotomy, but we have to make key observations to point things out, so we know where to grow from. We know where the lesson lays at all times, because everything that we do, everything that we encounter is an opportunity to learn something. So there was a lot of individuals that were being celebrated from the side of the conscious community that we probably don't see. You know, every coin has two sides, and a lot of us only know the conscious community that we belong to. But consciousness within itself is something universal. So the conscious community is not just something that's relegated to blackness or to melanin or to our experiences, you know what I'm saying? However we put them together. There's wholeness.
And may be discarded. All persons must maintain
They
control
just
of their
talking.
personal property,
Jesus Christ.
including carry-on baggage and checked baggage, to avoid transporting items without your knowledge. Carrying firearms through a TSA screening checkpoint of an airport.
Is that shit loud in the
by federal
background?
law and regulations. Check all carry-on baggage for firearms before entering the TSA screening checkpoints. Do not leave vehicles unattended on the curb. Unattended vehicles will be promptly ticketed and towed at the owner's expense. Your safety is our business. Please help us help you. If you see something, say something. Report suspicious activity to the nearest law enforcement officer, TSA officer, or airline representative.
Aye, nigga. So consciousness has to be expansive. You know what I'm saying? It has to be expansive because consciousness is universal. The things that we see directly in front of our face, right? Because they're so immediate and because they are steeped in trauma, we have a tendency to believe that that's the only thing that exists. Right? Because if you have been dealing with discomfort for so long, you don't want to entertain the idea of anything outside of that discomfort zone, because you have to immediately deal with solving discomfort to get to a state of comfort where you can even think and entertain the idea of anything outside of discomfort or your immediate needs and urges to address, right? The shit that's making you discomfortable. So we've been in that space, right? We're still dealing with overcoming trauma. That's like stage 1, right? That's stage 1 to the wounded healer. You're still dealing with, we're still even dealing with facing or revealing the trauma to even overcome it. And I think this quote is attributed to Jay-Z. Said, in order to heal, you have to reveal. I mean, of course, he got it from somewhere, but, you know, people love requoting him for that. And it's true, right? In order to heal, you have to reveal. And then you got to get through the healing process. And then once you heal up, then you're qualified to go back into the fray and attempt to heal somebody else up, or to lend the criteria that you know that speaks to healing, that has been tried and tested. Now, it may work specifically and perfectly for you, but how do you know it's the same for the next person? So we love saying that, oh, mushrooms is for white folks. We loved saying that for all of our years. Like, oh, that's something that white folks do. Now look at us, right? Now look at us. But it's to the point where, yeah, the hood has found out about mushrooms, right? So my response to that is always like, shit, I thought coke was something that white people do. That didn't stop niggas from not participating and wanting to become the face of cocaine. I thought getting shit-faced and drunk was something that white people do. That ain't stop niggas from wanting to become the face of being wasted and shit-faced. So our people finally found their ways around to mushrooms, only to abuse this shit like it's a drug and not deal with it as a sacred plant, you know what I'm saying, or fungus, because it's not even a plant for that matter, but a sacred sacrament. Look what niggas did to weed, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything that we come into contact with, we abuse, and the information is no different, you know what I'm saying? There's way too much personality. People are leading with personality and not information, whereas, what did I say about my experiences being around consciousness out west that is predominantly dominated by people who don't look like us? They lead with the information first and the personality second, even though that community is heavily driven by their gurus, because, you know, the dynamic of leadership. The dynamic of leadership is something that, you know, I think every community is going to gravitate towards, especially when you're doing something that's not as socially available. Like, those people are the black sheep of their family, but they get shit done. So the people who follow them develop trust. Because what I noticed from being around them for prolonged periods of times and studying their movements is that, for the most part, they get shit done and they don't have issues with manifesting abundance. I swear, y'all, it wasn't going off like this when I was waiting. I was like, oh, it's decent. It's an announcement every every announcement every 10 minutes. The second I go live. Shit, non-stop announcements. But yeah, my whole thing was, I started the Mount Shasta retreats after 2016. I kept saying 2015, but it was 2016. That's when we did the press conference for Africa Bambaataa. He was accused of some allegations of sex abuse in our community. And as members of the press and as friends of his, I still consider myself a friend of his. I cared about him to a great extent. This is somebody that I believed in, you know what I'm saying, wholeheartedly. This is somebody who I considered a leader. This is somebody who has opened many doors for me in the past, Africa Bambaataa. This is somebody I attributed with being the godfather of hip-hop. So when the allegations came out about him, you know, our approach wasn't to sweep it under the rug. Our methodology, because I was part of the planning committee when we came up with the idea, was to be responsible arm of journalism, and we was going to handle our own affairs. So we wanted to give the brother the opportunity to have a platform to be heard from first, so he could speak in his defense or say yay or nay, and not allow outside media to interfere. Well, he didn't show up to the press conference, and he didn't respond. Instead, he did go to mainstream media, and he went to Lisa Evers and, you know, made his denial over there. But what happened when we did the press conference is that mad people started coming out of the woodworks in our community saying that they had been affected by abuse of some form, not at the hands of Africa Bambaataa, but just across the board, right? When the call went out, we found out that a lot more of our people were grappling and dealing with issues of abuse that you can't necessarily get a herb to heal from, right? Or you can't put a... there was no topical treatment for this level of trauma, and all of the CMOS and the bladder rack in the world could not assist in it. They needed somebody to tend to them personally to deal with their abuse, or they needed some plant medicine that was going to help urge them to go deeper into the crevices, the dark crevices of their own mind, and deal with that abuse. And these facilities, these centers, and, you know, these healing modalities were not readily available to our people in 2016. So we put together the Shasta retreats to facilitate a safe space for people who wanted, you know, that level of healing. You know what I'm saying? So initially, maybe the first 4 or 5 retreats were dealing specifically with that. You know, people that had some level of trauma that they needed to overcome, whether it was sex trauma, whether it was just, you know, mental issues, whether they felt self-defeated, you know. And then there's people who need healing from their inner city, you know, experiences. Feel me? Sometimes just growing up in the city is traumatic enough. Come on, y'all. It's just fucking going crazy right now with this, man. It's just disrespectful. Yeah, people dealing with childhood trauma, people dealing with sex trauma, people dealing with, you know what I'm saying, that disconnect from nature because they just grew up in the city, right, and never been into a natural setting. People that were interested in plant medicine but never had a way to access it, or responsible enough guides to make sure that their experience was something, you know what I'm saying, it was monitored. They needed a safe space to do all of these things. So before people was going to the jungles of Peru and the Amazon and doing ayahuasca and things of that nature, before all of that was taking place, we made sure that the family had access to some plant medicine. And we were working with some indigenous elders up in the Mount Shasta region who were part of, because in order for indigenous people of this country, what they call Native American, in order for them to deal with the sacred medicine of their traditions, they have to become a member of the church. Right? There's a specific church that they have to become members of in order to handle their own traditional medicines. Right? Because outside of that, those traditional medicines are considered illegal. You do know that ayahuasca, mushrooms, psychedelic mushrooms, peyote, mescaline, and DMT, and all of this stuff they have this as scheduled controlled substances, right? In the federal guidelines, you do know that this stuff is technically illegal according to, man's law, right? You understand that,
At this time, I would like to welcome those families traveling with children in cars
right?
and strollers, as well as any active military personnel. You're welcome aboard. Followed
So
by Group B.
you do understand that, that people are not necessarily supposed to be online sliding into your DMs or in your comment thread talking about who got the boomies and all of that. Like, don't set yourself up for dragnet. You're making it kind of too easy for these people. You feel me? I don't need the additional scrutiny my damn self, so I'm just saying, like, there's another way to go about doing this. And for research purposes, for religious purposes, right? Again, you should make sure that you're if you are participating, that you're doing it with someone who's accredited, especially if you are in the States. You know what I'm saying? It should come under the auspices of someone who has, sort of a religious affiliation. There's ways around it. I'm just explaining to you the particulars about how this stuff is supposed to be done so it could be equitable for everybody involved, right? Iboga, ayahuasca, bufo, mushrooms, right? These are the things, the sacred medicines, peyote, that will heal our people dealing with substance abuse. So if they have drug addictions, if they have alcohol addictions, if they have issues, mental issues based on, things that are off, these are the substances that can get them the help that they need, right? But like I said, ironically, these are the items that have been outlawed by this government and criminalized. In particular, I remember Dr. Sebi telling us a story about Iboga, and he went to a country, I forget which one it was, right? By invite of the president.
Please come back soon. And to our residents, welcome home.
The president invited him to this country to research a herb called Iboga. Right now, it could have been Benin, because this is where Iboga and things is big at. Burkina Faso, right? And Iboga is a herb that helps people with deep addictions, like heroin addicts, you feel me, or alcoholics. But it's an intense ceremony, and it lasts at least for 2 or 3 days. Sometimes it could go upwards to 2 weeks. So these are not ceremonies that fit into the construct of Western medicine mindsets. Like, this is not a take a drug, go home, and no, this is, you're going to go through a very altering ceremony. Sometimes you might even shapeshift. Now, you got to dribble that the best way that you can, family. Like I said, there's a whole nother world outside of the box that you live in that exists. That will terrify you if you knew about the expansiveness of the world. But here we are, we got the arrogance to think that we're just going to interact with aliens and it's just going to be hokey-dory. There's so much more to life on Earth that you still have to discover outside of the box. We have to start traveling as a people. And this is what I'm saying. The difference that I saw in that auditorium for the Conscious Awards is that our light-skinned cousins who were getting awarded, or even the ones who came to participate, they was amateur archaeologists, they was amateur astronomers, or some of the attendees and the people that was up for awards were the leading field researchers in that particular field. So these people have been going to the digs, they've been going to the pyramids, they've been uncovering things, they've been in the field for 20 and 30 years. So they have experience. The shit that they talking is based off experience. The people that are being acknowledged for the work that they're doing, these are they're actually getting down to the nitty gritty of it. They're not reading books. They're not regurgitating information. They're not getting downloads saying, I'm intuiting this information. If that's the case, they following it up and they're getting peer reviewed, right? Them people is very meticulous because they're mainly right-brained people. So they're very meticulous. They're very logical. They have to pass the burden of science, even amongst themselves and their own. So the way that they go about looking for shit is somewhat different. Whereas if you notice the modern crop of teachers that have arisen in our community in the last 10 years, right? Starting with some individuals who I won't name, they went and got information from their master teachers. They didn't accredit their master teachers, and the rest of the shit they said that they got, right, through downloads and astral traveling and shit like that, right? These niggas is telling you about Sirius X and Sirius Z and B and shit like that. These niggas is giving you descriptions of aliens and... They out here doing the most, but you never see no proof of it, and a lot of shit don't add up. You know what I'm saying? So you have to go on Billy Carson's page and start following some of these people who were nominated and find out, what's going on the other side of the coin of consciousness that you may not be exposed to, but it's very beneficial, at least for you to critique the information that's being said or that's being delivered. How does it relate to you? Does it resonate with you? Do you have any use for it? You feel me? These are things that you would have to go through the information with a fine-tooth comb and figure out on your own. But there were a lot of experts in that building that can add on to the shit we talking about. Like, let me show you this. Hopefully I can give you an idea of some of the expansiveness that potentially exists in us, engaging in these conversations. Let's see. I'm looking to see if I can find one of these slides. Consciousness, black health. Alright, yeah, the slide that I'm looking for, I don't see it right this second. Oh my God.
Attention occupants of Appleton, Fort Blank, 949 Toronto. We're continuing the boarding process. We're going to continue the boarding process.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Number 2, please report at gate 11. Again, number 2, please
But I mean, long story short, y'all, it was some super dope individuals in that building. You know what I'm saying, the other day, and I really want to see, you know what I'm saying, the bridges continuously built. That's gonna bring us over into consciousness. Let me see what this one is. Hold on.
You're actually out of the body when you're dreaming at night. So when you sleep for 7 or 8 hours, you're going to spend 3 hours. This is medical studies now. This is hard, no science now. We've known this since the 1950s when we discovered the 4 brainwaves. You spend 3 hours out of the body into the 5th dimension. The question is, where do you go? Most people, because they don't know what they're doing, or because they're arguing with their wife, or they're worrying about problems, or because they had too many drugs, they go to the lower astral plane. That's a very bad neighborhood, like hell. Well, except you can get out of it. Yeah, so it's like purgatory. Okay? Purgatory, okay. Whereas if you use the techniques I described in psychic protection techniques and more positive things, you can leave through the crown chakra, not through the 3rd chakra, which will take you to the lower astral. If you go to the crown chakra, which is where you want to go, now you go to the upper astral plane, or the causal, mental, etheric, or even soul plane. Those are all positive dimensions. Okay, the only 2 negative dimensions are the lower astral plane and this one. You have a lot of problems here. But the other dimensions are all positive. And each dimension has a sound and certain characteristics that are relevant to it. For example, if you're out of the body and you hear the roar of the sea, you're on the astral plane. If you hear the tinkling of bells like a New Age bookstore, now you're on the causal plane where the Akashic records are stored. If you hear the sound of running water, you're on the mental plane. And if you hear the buzzing of bees, you're on the etheric plane. Or if you hear the sound of a flute, you're on the soul plane. You're actually out of the body when you're dreaming at night. So when you sleep for 7 or 8 hours, you're going to spend 3 hours. This is medical studies now. This is hard, no science now. We've known this since the 1950s when we discovered the 4 brainwaves. You spend 3 hours out of the body into the 5th dimension. The question is, where do you go? Most people, because they don't know what they're doing, or because they're arguing with their wife, or they're worrying about problems, or because they had too many drugs, they go to the lower astral plane. That's a very bad neighborhood, like hell. Well, except you can get out of it. Yeah, so it's like purgatory. Okay? Purgatory, okay. Whereas if you use the techniques I described in psychic protection techniques and more positive things, you can leave through the crown chakra, not through the 3rd chakra, which will take you to the lower astral. If you go to the crown chakra, which is where you want to go, now you go to the upper astral plane, or the causal, mental, etheric, or even soul plane. Those are all positive dimensions. Okay, the only 2 negative dimensions are the lower astral plane and this one. You have a lot of problems here. But the other dimensions are all positive. And each dimension has a sound and certain characteristics that are relevant to it. For example, if you're out of the body and you hear the roar of the sea, you're on the astral plane. If you hear the tinkling of bells like a New Age bookstore, now you're on the causal plane where the Akashic records are stored. If you hear the sound of running water, you're on the mental plane. And if you hear the buzzing of bees, you're on the etheric plane. Or if you hear the sound of a flute, you're on the soul plane. You're actually out of the body when you're dreaming at night.
All right, so there's a plethora of information out there by, people who are willing to teach. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're willing to learn, and you don't really got to get tied up in nobody's personality, because this journey is about y'all. You know what I'm saying? It's not about us. It's not about our personal business. It's not about our personality. We have a character. That's amazing. We're very charismatic people. You know what I'm saying? But it's almost like we're competing with our personality, and it's like, again, being in the month of Leo, this gives us a perfect opportunity to talk about leadership. Shout out to my brother, Umar Johnson. Shout out to Professor Grip, it's his born day. Shout out to all of the Leos. Shout out to my brother Steve, he just had a birthday. Shout out to Human, he got a birthday coming up. Shout out to Queen Afua, she has a birthday coming up, right? So leadership is an aspect of Leo, of the sign of Leo, you know what I'm saying? And leadership deals with, it deals with the people, right? So the opposite sign of Leo is Aquarius. Aquarius is the people, it's humanity, right? Leo is king, is leadership. But once again, we reiterate that the king of kings, or the king himself, is the highest servant of the people. The king is not the person with the highest amount of servants. It's the person who is of the highest service. to his people. He's a servant to the people, right? It's a dope thing that hip hop is born in Leo. It's a Leo. That's what it initially was supposed to be, right? But you hear, you know, the death kills of it. You know that it was dying when people started making it being about who has the most followers, who has the most servants. You know what I'm saying? I got this and you don't. I'm gonna step on you. Fuck your bitch. Right? That's you know, that's the opposite spectrum, you know, of kinging.
Attention the Concord for those JetBlue customers traveling on flight 2202 with service to John F. Kennedy.
Right? That's kinging in all of the wrong directions.
2202 with service to John F. Kennedy.
Feel me? So if you are in service to the people and you are really on your Leo shit as a king, as a leader, then you lead with your heart, because the heart is another motif for Leo, right? You lead with your heart, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to tell you how that looks. I just know that it looks totally different than what we've been used to. It looks totally different than what we've been seeing and getting, even coming out of this community. You know, you should be convinced that the people that you fuck with love you as a people, or love our people, or love all people. And that's a beautiful thing. And I'm working towards that. You know what I'm saying? I would love to get to that place in my life that I could wake up and honestly say I love all people. I don't think that I'm there yet. Even with all of the shit that I'm talking, it's still certain hurdles that I have to clear, because I'm still tethered to the trauma of race. I'm still tethered to that trauma. I even tried it today to overlook it, and it didn't work. It ain't work. It ain't work for too long. I was like, man, it's very difficult for me at this stage of my life to just be so universal, you know what I'm saying, that I just overlook the things that make us us, because they make up so much of a big part of my narrative, that my narrative is very much terrestrial, even though, you know, I want it to be, yeah. So I got to get it to 80-20. It's not 80-20 right now. Let's say it might even be 60-40, but it's 60% terrestrial, 40% celestial. I want to get to a place in my life where I'm 80% celestial and 20% terrestrial. I'm in the world, but not of it. I'm of the world right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm of the world right now.
This is a security advisory. For your safety, please do not leave baggage unattended.
I'm just being
Unattended
honest.
baggage will be removed and may be discarded. All persons must maintain control of their personal property, including carry-on baggage and checked baggage, to avoid transporting items without your knowledge. Carrying firearms through a TSA screening checkpoint of an airport is prohibited by federal law and regulations. Check all carry-on baggage for firearms before entering the TSA screening checkpoint. Do not leave vehicles unattended on the curb. Unattended vehicles will be promptly ticketed and towed at the owner's expense.
Yeah.
Your safety
God,
is
damn.
our business.
Come on now. Yeah, I feel
Please
you.
help us help you. If you see something, say something. Report suspicious activity to the nearest law enforcement officer, TSA officer, or airline representative.
Yeah, I'm still.
Broward County's Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport is to...
I'm influenced and I'm affected, you know, by our present day conditions. I still look out into the world, and there's still things that I want for people who look like me to be equalized. I still see the violations, you know what I'm saying, and I don't like it. I still see things that I'm just like, I can't overlook what I'm looking at for the sake of, you know what I'm saying? I'm still emotional. Peace, God. I'm still tethered to this terrain, and I'm just being real. I thought about it all night. I even tried some things today, And I'm just like, if I lose a loved one, I'm going to still be hella emotional. And I'm going to feel that loss. I'm going to shed some tears. Yeah, I haven't risen to that place. I'm not a yogi yet. You know what I'm saying? I ain't get to know, I'm not at my yogi phase. I'm not there. Just being honest. Am I working towards it? Of course I am. I'm working towards nirvana like the rest of us, but I'm not there yet. You know, I'm a lot closer than I am further, but I'm still tied into my terrestrial experience, right? I still care about earth shit. You know what I'm saying? There's still things that I want. I still have desires. Yeah. And I'm just being honest. You feel me? Because it's like, even as leadership and as a servant of the people, I have an idea, right, of what will take us into the next few hundred years in prosperity. Those things require resources. You feel me? Those things require resources. There's so many economic opportunities as an entrepreneur that I'm very much engaged with terrestrial, politics, because it deals with acquiring, it deals with acquisition, it deals with, you know what I'm saying, owning nothing and controlling everything. These are still things that we have to make sure are secure for our progeny and our legacy for the next 1,000 years. I still have to make sure that I'm leaving, something behind for my nieces and my nephews and my children, and I'm not so ethereal in my mind and caught up in all things space-bound that I'm not handling my business on Earth. We have to find a happy balance in the medium where we can entertain these concepts and these conversations and not be space cadets, not lose our footing, not be grounded in our reality. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not willing to let go or acquiesce of planet Earth. I'm not looking to do that. I'm not looking to trade that in for nothing. I might want to explore the galaxy, but I love it here on Earth. Yeah, Earth is my home. I'm not traumatized by my earthbound experience that I'm like, fuck this place. I want to leave and never come back. I don't want to leave here and never come back. Send me back. Send me back. I'm not going to get it all done in this lifetime. It's not possible. It's not possible, nigga. Yeah. And you don't even got to send me back as a human, nigga. You could send me back as an orca whale or something. Send me back as an orca whale. Send me back as a cocaine bear. Yo, y'all seen the footage of the bear in China? That's an ayahuasca bear. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's a peyote bear. That nigga, that's not a cocaine bear. Y'all seen the footage of the bear standing upright? The nigga standing straighter than y'all seen that shit? Tell me somebody seen it, man. Tell me somebody seen the footage of the bear in China that's standing straight up, perpendicular like a human being, like a fucking mammal. He look human. They saying that's not a human. They saying that's not a human, man. Look, I'm seeing animals do crazy shit, right? So that's just the latest example of some shit that I've seen that will make you question your concept of reality. Nigga, I'm seeing trees get up and walk. You say he had on pants? He was waving, but I've seen animals wave before. Like, I've seen animals do shit. And look, I'm on the other side of things when it, right? I can't talk about all of my experiences with animals, but I'm telling you, because of some of these ceremonies that I've been part of, and please don't get fucking puritanical on me, because I'm not here for that, right? I'm seeing animals in very intimate spaces before they give up their last breath. All right? I'm seeing animals do things between the state of living and transitioning that you would not believe. Trust me when I tell you, my nigga, and at some point we could have a more candid conversation about this. But I need you to fucking listen to me and hear me on this, please. Okay? These animals is different. There's some different energy on this planet, period. And the will the animals have to live is unprecedented. It supersedes human beings at this time. They're not willing to let go of the ghosts. They're not willing to just give up. Like, these animals are fighting in a way that not only I've never seen them fight, but people who have been in these traditions for decades have never seen animals do the things that they're doing to hold on to their lives. These animals is different, y'all. Trust me when I tell you. From a very intimate space, I'm telling you, these animals are operating different. Okay? So the shit that I'm seeing on TV with animals doesn't seem to be too far-fetched. That I'm telling you, this planet is mutating, and the species on this planet are mutating along with it. And nothing is going to be what it seems to be in 2 years. Like, this whole shit going to be transformed into something that's unrecognizable, because so many things are changing. And the veil is being lifted from so many sectors. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm finding out that, like, I got my beads on out here. I'm in Miami. This shit is like being in Fight Club. This shit is like being in Fight Club, because the things that Spanish people do for us, the things that African and other indigenous people do when they see me and my wiz come through in all white, right? Even the things that Caucasians and Europeans do, because they acknowledge us as God off the break. They be like, y'all look godly, you look divine, you look amazing. These are rednecks and everything. People who you would think wouldn't be the ones to acknowledge the God when they see the God, they be the first ones to do it. That's why I be like, yo, this shit is not what you think it is. We have to revisit a lot of these things that we've been told. We have to really challenge them, because the enemy out here is just ignorance. It doesn't come in a spacesuit. Don't come in a race. That's not what you up against. You up against ignorance, and that shit personifies itself, and it looks like anything. And because our people have adopted ignorance as a culture and a lifestyle, they are really the flag bearers of ignorance these days. These the niggas that I be running into making jokes and shit because a nigga got on all white. Nobody else does that. Everybody else understands what this is, other than the people who need it the most. You feel me? So I did my program about when I used to come out here and have issues with the Cubans and shit. Not no more. Not no more. The Cubans and the Dominicans and different, Hispanics or people from that particular region of the planet, they understand what they're looking at, and they got a whole nother language for it, and they pay homage to it. They pay homage, and they offer their services off the break. Off the break, and they're elated, they're excited. And this shit is like Fight Club, because you never know who's involved. You never know who's part. You never know who has the understanding. It's a universal brotherhood and sisterhood, and everybody don't wave the same flag. It's not a look. You know what I'm saying? So this also brings me to the state of being more expansive in my mindset because, you know, this is more so teaching me about African traditional systems. I'm learning more about history on that side of the planet than I am about history on this side of the planet. I'm also learning that we are very different. We're different people. You know what I'm saying? And we have to find some sort of a bridge or a synthesis as to where we connect, how we connect, right? Because they have a lot to offer. There's a lot of magic and mystique and mystery that is entailed in these particular systems that is accessible to you if you're a part of those systems. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, so we have to have not only, you know, a global mindset because it's a big world and the world operates different outside of America. But we got to have a galactic mindset because we're about to be introduced to a reality, and that reality is that you are not alone in this universe and you're not the shit. You know what I'm saying? You sharing the shit. You're a turd in the toilet, but you're not the shit. There's a lot of other things that are going on. You feel me? And your need to feel superior to something is going to have to be earned. If that is what you truly think about yourself, then you're going to have to really prove it, because you're about to encounter some individuals that could do some shit that you can't, and that's going to fuck you up if you're tied into the superiority clause that comes along with being a human. You know what I'm saying? So it would be a perfect time to get in contact with nature and to humble yourself, right? Because I can see the majesty in a flower. I can see the majesticness in a bushel of leaves, right? I could pay homage or homage to the pattern in a leaf and humble myself to be like, yo, I'm just in awe of the creator, right? This insect that I seen that was this big had me prostrating and making a salat in the middle of the street to creator, right? Because this insect was so beautiful. This insect was so anatomically perfect. This insect, the design on this insect was so intricate. You know what I'm saying?
I'm Broward County Bureau of Art Fisher.
The smallest things in life should be able to, once again, remind you that as special and as magnanimous as you have convinced yourself that you are, fuck the fact that you share the universe with other species. You share the planet with other species, and we have not done a great job on this planet acknowledging other life forms, other species. We have not done a great job, you know what I'm saying, respecting the humanity of non-human species. But when we seen that headline last week, it grabbed everybody's attention. Oh, they have entities with non-human origins, right? You ain't ready for that. You know what I'm saying? Man's first inclination was something that he encounters that's different than him, is he wants to kill it. That was the Europeans. They led with the lead everywhere that they went. Every time that they encountered something that they didn't understand, they killed it so they could research and study it. They are the little kid with the stick who kills the animals to dissect them and be like, pop up to go see his girlfriend, and he got the pig heart in the box talking about, I got you a gift. And he think it's funny, but he really values his level of exploration because he think he's deep and he found some shit out. Or he sees beauty in things that you don't. You know what I'm saying? That's who this person is. This is the mind that they operate from. And it is a recessive mind. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not abandoning my understanding that we are different. That anatomically we're different, biologically we're different, right? And we have definitely been socialized differently. We are conditioned differently. We're socialized different. So I embrace the expansiveness of humanity, right? But I also understand that we're different, and I appreciate that, right? I allow everybody to be different, the best versions of themselves. I am an allowance of that. I'm not attempting to change anybody from being different. I allow difference, the different diaspora to flourish. Diversity. I allow diversity to have its day. I allow differences, the differentness, you know what I'm saying, to do what it do. Now, when it infringes upon a level of normalcy that we have enjoyed long enough, right, to continue the lifeblood and the lifeline of humanity, when it infringes upon that, then there's an issue. Like, there's things going on with the LGBT community where they want to replace the woman. You can't do that, right? Now you're infringing upon a grand design, a pattern that you can't infringe upon this pattern, because there's so much magic, there's so much mystique, there's so much mystery still in the matriarch that we have yet to explore. We don't know enough about her to allow you to come in and remix her shit and change the definition of who she is. We're just getting back to knowing her. Right? We're just coming out of the purgatory of patriarchy. And what I'm saying by that, patriarchy and the expression of patriarchy that we've been exposed to is lopsided and it's unbalanced, because it's patriarchy at the expense of the woman, right? Man can only flourish if he keeps her down. In this reality that we live in, she's never been given equal footing, right? Or equitable pairing, because, you know, is there equality? We shouldn't be looking for equality. We should be looking for equity. And she hasn't had equitable pairing long enough for you to come in here and change what she is. We don't know what she is, and she's just finding out who and what she is, right? And you have removed your foot only but for so long, where she's just now getting to breathe. But then a nigga want to throw a wig on and come around and finesse her for the shit that belongs to her, that intimately belongs to her. So I don't approve of that. You know what I'm saying? But that's just my personal opinion, based on my observation, and I'm looking from a very far purview because I'm not a woman. You know what I'm saying? But I got a mama, and I have a woman, and I want to have a daughter, right? And I got nieces, and I have friends who are women, and I advocate for them. So that's where, you know, that's where the conundrum happens. That it's like, yeah, we should mind our business. Yeah, we allow people to be different. Yeah, there's only one humanity. All of the colorful, feel-good shit that we say is great, but there's certain things that we cannot overlook on a terrestrial level, that we be so far in the celestial planes that we're missing the footing that's important to get some shit understood. That certain things are off bounds, right? And the woman should be number one, because we have been deprived from her majesticness and her equitable footing for too long, that we're looking to reap the rewards of her finally, you know what I'm saying, being in a place where she could breathe on her own. Just like, yo, man, like, let her get her moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, let her get her moment before you run up in here and shit and try to redefine what a woman is. And the root word of it is womb man, and you don't got a womb, nigga. Sit this one out. You know what I'm saying? a woman is not the totality of what you can create by way of her fashion, right? Her beauty aesthetic is not who she is. So transvestites was like, taught you how to dress. I taught you how to put your makeup on. Right? It's almost tantamount to what happened with the colonizer and us. Right? That he acquired the information that we shared with him to raise him from a state where he was almost animal-like. He became a custodian of the information. We went to sleep and caught amnesia, and then he caught us slipping and attempted to teach us back the information that we taught him how to be upright. He won't teach it back to us as if we're the subordinate student, as if that's not our information. So you're teaching it to us as if you are us, about us. That's a violation. And then it's the same thing taking place with transvestites and womanhood. That because women might have forgot who they were in terms of the thing that made them sexy, unique, right? And desired how to walk, how to sway, how to swish, right? When they taught them to remember who the fuck they was, because they became the custodians of that information because they was raised by women. You know what I'm saying? But those same women are going into the workforce. Those same women are getting beat down by the burdens of life. Those same women are compromising their womanhood to become more man-like, to compete in this quote-unquote man's world. And then they come back as the custodians and the caretakers of this information that they were coveting and saving through observation, right? Because they was raised by and nurtured by these women. And then they're trying to break off the information to the woman as if the woman is subordinate to the nigga who was fucking sharecropping and housing the information to begin with. That's some lame shit. That's finessing at the highest level. And then you want to finesse her out of her whole position for an equitable exchange of you giving her back some shit that belonged to her anyway. Right? But she bought into your beauty standards. So you got her at a place that is very uncomfortable. Because she bought into your beauty standards. And every time they buy into somebody's beauty standards, you see a shift in our whole societal structure. When our women bought into Barbie as a beauty standard, you saw an entire shift in our societal structure. Because she, bought into the princess paradigm, and that fucked everything up. She wanted to be Snow White, Cinderella, and Barbie. Where does that leave room for her to be Barquisha, Tanisha, and Shaquana? Because they live distinctively different lives than Snow White, Barbie, and Sleeping Beauty. And then you create a dichotomy because there's no Prince Charmings to go with the Snow Whites or the Cinderellas. And there's no Kens to go with Barbies. Right? So now they just got themselves and shit, and they put plastic in their bodies, and they literally became Barbie. Literally. They stepped into a very undifferentiated place and became the thing that they always wanted to be by literally becoming that thing and augmenting their bodies with plastic. And that is how effective marketing is. That's how effective marketing is. That is how effective marketing is. That's how it can seep into the deepest crevices of somebody's consciousness. And you're watching it in real time. Right? You're watching whoever controls her beauty standards, right? Because she has to acquiesce to a standard of beauty because this whole shit is designed as a mating ritual So she wants to be chosen. She wants to be in position to do the choosing. Right? You choosing her just so she can do the choosing of her liking. That's all. Nigga, you putting her in position so she can really get the catch that she needs and level up. It's just the game in a nutshell. Right? It's just the game. That's just the game in a nutshell. You're choosing her to put her in position so she could really choose up on the selections that she really wants as a mating ritual, so she can propagate her species into the future. Right? Through the mother, through the matriarch. In religious circles, what? That you are the son of your mother. Right? Because she has the mitochondria. So her DNA is the one that matters the most. That's what's patterning the offspring for the most part. You know what I'm saying? So whoever controls her beauty standard controls the direction. They say that, you know, a woman leads the nation, but you're going to control the direction of the nation if you control her beauty standard, because she is going to she's going to get in line to be chose. And she's going to do what she needs to do to get in line, to be in alignment with that beauty standard. It don't depend on genetics. It depends on socialization more than it depends on genetics at this point. Right? Because the Americanism makes everybody break yourself. It don't matter where you come from or who you are when you get here. You're going to break yourself. You know what I'm saying? And the Barbie concept is very marginalized. You can only be, but you know what I'm saying? So black women got to get their blonde hair. Black women got to get their Barbie figures. You know, their body shapes and things of that nature. You break yourself to fit into their mold. They don't ever break themselves to fit into your mold. They'll culturally appropriate some shit that you got that they think is fly, that they want to take over, but they're not doing that shit to make your shit any more accessible. No, they're taking your shit, they're colonizing your culture. They're colonizing your culture. Look, let's look at this, right? I had put this up earlier. We'll get a better idea.
That's probably that genetics too, when they know they engineering.
Not really. See, everybody say a ceiling bottom no genetic engineer, but it's not.
Okay.
All you do, you took a mother and father over here, regular, open pollinated seed. A mother father over here. You bred it together. And you come back with a cross.
Property, including carry-on baggage and checked baggage,
So the
to
third
avoid
time,
transporting
you come out
items
the water.
without your
It's
knowledge.
sterile, like a mule.
Carrying
Yeah.
firearms
You know,
to a TSA screening
I
checkpoint
printed that out and
is
handed it out to the farmer
prohibited by
mother
federal
people.
law
And the farmer mother,
regulations.
no, it ain't genetic
Check all
modified.
carry-on baggage
It's a
and
matter
firearms
of
before entering the
breed.
TSA
So
screening
that
checkpoint.
third
Do not leave
generation,
vehicles unattended
is
on the
sterile.
curb. Unattended
By being
vehicles
sterile,
will
that
be
means they won't
properly
produce no
ticketed
steam.
and towed at the owner's expense. Your station has
It's breeding.
Please help us help you.
You want to see the call?
Say something.
2,000 seats cost you $5,000.
Activity to the nearest law enforcement officer,
They got-
TSA officer.
They got a lifespan of like almost 6.
Years in it before we could ever sell it.
Yeah.
It's not genetic
Broward
modified
County's
at all.
Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport is doing its part to combat human trafficking.
So
It's estimated that over 25 million people worldwide
Think
are
about-
victims of human trafficking. Sadly, it's happening in our community here in South Florida. We urge everyone to report suspicious behavior by calling 911 so that law enforcement officials
Think about
can thoroughly
that
investigate.
example that he used.
We thank you for your attention to this
Right.
important issue.
And I said that I would abandon race politics for a little while, you know, just to clear the air, because I don't want to be caught up, you know, in those conversations, you know what I'm saying? I don't really want to be there with it. But I can't ignore the opportunity to point some shit out. And GMO versus genetic crossbreeding, right? One process allegedly made the Caucasian, and the other process allegedly made the nigger. Because the nigger was created on the breeding farms, okay? These plantation breeding farms. Baltimore, Maryland was one of them. Mississippi, New Orleans, South Carolina. If I'm missing anything, I'm sure that, I'm sure if Red is in the room, he can help me out. Where were the other breeding farms at? Natchez, Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? These were the breeding farms. So this is how they created the nigger. They would make mother and father, siblings and shit like that. Like, dude would rape his sister. Crazy shit. Virginia, yeah, absolutely. Norfolk, yeah. Virginia was a big part of that. So this is how they created the nigger in the wilderness, or the labs, the breeding farms of North America. The genetic cross-slicing is how the Nation of Islam speaks about the story of Yaqub. He say this is how the Caucasian was created. So this sample, I'm gonna play it for you again so you can catch it. You feel me? This stereotypical example of them explaining watermelons, right? I'm gonna lean back on that example and explain to you how they made the nigger and how they made the Caucasian with genetic crossbreeding. You know what I'm saying? Let me just play it.
That's probably that genetics too, when they know they're engineering.
Not really. See, everybody say a sealant watermelon is genetic engineer, but it's not.
Okay.
All you do, you took a mother and father over here, regular, open pollinated seed. A mother father over here. You bred it together. Then you come back with a cross. The other parent, that's 2 times. So the 3rd time, when you come out of the watermelon, it's sterile, like a mule.
Yeah.
Ain't no. I printed that out and handed it out to the farmer market people. In the farm, I let them know it ain't genetic modified, nothing. It's a matter of plant breeding.
Sure.
So that 3rd generation is sterile. And by being sterile, that means it won't.
So it's the prime breeding, right? There's something that we have to look at. And this goes along with my, I do this description about the behavior patterns of GMO seeds. They have 2 distinct behavior patterns. They're weatherproof and they're terminated seeds, meaning when it comes to the 2nd generation, they no longer populate. If you understand crack cocaine to be a chemical warfare, right, and it being a biological weapon, biological weapons ripple in 7 generation, you know what I'm saying? They have 7-generation windows that biological weapons affect you. If you look at the era of crack cocaine, right, and you count to 3 generations after crack cocaine, we're technically not in the 3rd generation past crack cocaine, but our people have now started exhibiting attributes, right, of what we'll consider, like he just said, the terminator breeding. After the 3rd generation, they don't breed no more. So when we see this uptick in homosexuality where our children, not even homosexuality, the Gen Zs, they don't want to have seeds, right? They're a lot of them are asexual. They don't even want relationships. And the ones that are relationships don't want to have children. All of this is remnants and fallouts from the chemical warfare, the biological warfare of crack cocaine. We were experimented on as a people, and those effects are still rippling, right, at a genetic level with who we are. Ask yourself, where did the uptick, right, of a mutated species come from? And I'm just saying mutated because there was obviously something that happened at a genetic level where the child, had, there was like they said, crossbreeding, that the wiring was crossed. And I'm just repeating what they keep saying about how they feel inside of the body that they don't belong in. That means that the wires were crossed. That means that there has been some level of manipulation at a chemical level. That means that if you change a mother's chemistry slightly, 1%, it's going to offset the development of her seed. And a girl's seed will now become a boy and vice versa. Just through a tiny manipulation of her chemical disposition. Trauma can do that as well. You feel me? Certain frequencies can do that. Foods can do that. Right? Where did it all come from? Where did the uptick of it come from? Where now it's reaching mass adoption. Anything over 4%, 4 to 6% in population is at mass adoption. So they're saying that the just even amongst the newer generations, that their percentage that they identify as LGBT, according to themselves, is over 7%, right? So we're reaching mass adoption, right? Because once you get to 10%, forget about it. Then it's going to replicate on some 100 monkey syndrome shit. Then you can't control it. Then it's really mass adopted. Veganism is not even at 10%. To give you an idea, right? LGBT is stronger than veganism in terms of its ascension towards mass adoption. Crypto is not even at 10%. It's outpacing crypto in terms of its mass adoption. And again, the creed is to let people be different, so I don't attempt to police nobody's life, especially in their bedrooms, right? That's your personal business, and you should be allowed to do as thou wilt, as you please. But there's something that's taking place with humanity, right, that we're on autopilot and we're not paying attention to it, and we're being transformed and mutated as a species, as a people, to be something else. And that's for a purpose. There's an agenda that comes along with that. It's an overarching agenda. And it's not the effeminization necessarily of black men, more so than it is priming humanity and our species for transhumanism, right? Which will be the equitable middle ground between man interfacing with aliens. Because he can't do it alone. He's going to need some transhumanism in order to give him the upgrade for him to be equitable on an even keel with someone who can read your mind and make shit move telekinetically and things of that nature. You're going to need you some extra gifts to keep up with this shit that's coming. You can't do it alone, right? You didn't evolve quick enough. You took all of this idle time, you know what I'm saying, to watch reality TV. And you wasn't working on your spiritual gifts. So you're going to need some help in order to keep up. Because, you know, man is not very good with sharing the podium. He's not very good with sharing the podium. So when you find a distinct group of individuals who are dependent upon science and medicine, then you got those people, because they can't do nothing without you. And our people have yet to smell the coffee and realize that science and medical are all controlled by military. They showed you that in the movie Oppenheimer, right? Shout out to Oppenheimer, right? And they show it to you in Oppenheimer, and they also show it to you in a documentary called When the Jews Created Hollywood. Is based on a book called Empire of Their Own. And at the end of that book, right, or the end of that documentary, they explain to you that Hollywood, after the war, after the bomb was dropped, after Oppenheimer dropped, you know what I'm saying? After they ran down on Oppenheimer, right, and used the commie scare tactics to discredit him and take his security clearance, they did the same thing to Hollywood, and they ran down on all of the Eastern European Jews that were instrumental with building the studios, who thought that they were now members of privilege. They thought that they were part of Americana, right? Because they had made all of these propagandized films for the military. When the war started, that's when they got into bed with the military, right? And when the war finished, the military took Hollywood from them called them commies, put them in game, and made them trade off. And they've been in control of Hollywood ever since. So media is a major arm of the military, but so is medical and science. So these people of medical experience, right, at the bequest of military, that is allowing them to change form and become transformers, but only for them to experiment with their technology in their bodies. Because if they don't take them drugs, they can't hold form. Right? So they're tethered to the medical community. Science is studying this shit as they go along, right? Because science is making the breakthroughs and they're sending them to medical, and medical is utilizing these physical bodies as volunteers that want to deal with transitioning and things of that nature, right? Where now they have an opportunity to experiment. So, again, I keep giving these disclaimers that I'm not coming for a segment of society or particular people in our community. You know what I'm saying? I just have to point certain things out that may be overlooked because they're part of the larger narrative of what we're dealing with as a people. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you see a particular segment of society become prioritized in society, right? When they become prioritized in society and they become a protected class in society, right? And the government, which is also controlled by the military, seems to be doing these things.
Please identify yourself at the podium. G10. Alexis Castro. Lee Wang. Please identify yourself at the podium. G10.
You know, there's something else to it. Feel me? And we all pawns to some degree or another. It's just different levels. We're all players in this game, in this simulation. You know, we're playing at different levels. We're playing different roles. You feel me? And that's just what it is. And no disrespect or nobody, you know what I mean? None of that stuff. So when they be like, yo, I'm born like this, they're right. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't mean that there was no outside interference. We are over chemicalized people. We have been experimented on as a people, you know what I'm saying, from every single angle. Y'all just can't go and watch the movie Who Cloned Tyrone and think that it's entertainment when they're telling you what time it is. They're giving it to you, they're showing it to you, they're putting it in your face.
Hello.
That's how they do it.
Welcome to the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport.
You know what I'm saying?
During your stay,
that's why when they changed the frequency, they had brothers going from being niggers, from fighting and killing one another, to hugging,
our incredibly popular restaurants, golf courses,
maybe kissing.
shopping amenities, and outdoor activities all throughout Broward County. From our magical Everglades, an amazing butterfly world, your shopping experience at Sawgrass Mills Mall, the iconic Hard Rock Guitar Hotel, catching our home team, the Florida Panthers, on the ice. You will find the options for you and your family are limitless here in Broward County. Whether you're here on business or vacation, we hope you enjoy your stay. Please come back soon.
So,
and to our residents, welcome home.
What is unprecedented to me is how much attention initially Travis Scott received about where he was proposing, you know, potentially to do in Kemet, and what has been overlooked, is Beyonce, right? Who in the dog days, we got faked out by the dog. Remember, the dog days represent Offset or ISIS and Ampu. So we got offset by the dog, by Ampu, and didn't understand that it was really ISIS or Offset who was really, because Beyonce, when she channeled Sasha Fierce, that's just shot. but she is Queen Bee. She's the Queen Mother, right? So she operates in her capacity as the Queen Bee, right? As an offset figure. Y'all can argue it all you want. I'm not here for it, right? She's a Virgo. She's the queen. She's the prototype. She represents the archetype. Let's call her Isis and not offset so we don't get people in their feelings. But Mother is putting on, right? She got to the States and lost her sauce. The level of esotericism that is being displayed at her shows is unprecedented. And you're looking at someone who is now a master of their craft because, you know, spirit don't have it's not caught up the way that y'all caught up. Magic is magic. And her being able to symbolically personify the motifs and express them in performance art, that's magical. That's magical, right? That's magic within itself. The mesmerization of her performances and the shit that she's doing people when they leave, that's magic. That's magic. And if you understood the science of music, then it would make all the sense in the world that you would get it. To be like, oh, I got it. You know, we're getting carried away. So it's given what it's given. And there's a reason for that. Like I said, in Masonry, and she's a Virgo. And like Michael Jackson, Virgos make the best performers. It's something that comes natural with them. I don't know whether it's based on their perfectionism, you know, or their ability to display, you know what I mean, the way that they're displaying. But she's putting on a clinic. So if you look at this particular graph, this is dealing with Masonry. The 7 steps of Masonry, those upper stairs, that's what you call liberal arts. Liberal arts you can find in every university institution. Every university institution is dealing with degrees, right? You got to go and get your degree. Every institution is Masonic in terms of education, higher education, because it deals with something called a quadrivium. And the quadrivium is what you see on the top upper 7 steps of those stairs, starting with grammar and rhetoric, leading all the way up to music and astronomy, right? And you have to understand that a magician is someone that's capable of manipulating the magnetic fields, and every musician can do that. That's why it's at the top of the stairs of Masonry. Because, you know, can't nobody build like them. So when you see the twin pillars of B and J in Masonry, you're also looking at the twin pillars of Jay-Z and Beyonce, or B and J, Beyonce and Jay-Z, not just Boaz and Jakeem. Fuck with me on this. This is my old lectures from like 2010, okay? Before 444, the album, when I was fully explaining the Masonic, you know, the blueprint behind, you know what I'm saying, these two in particular who were married on April 4th, who have 4-4 tatted all over, you know, their ring fingers. Like, this is not some shit that I don't know what I'm talking about. I've been talking about it forever. Before they even stepped into the space, I was preparing it for them to be like, this how they gonna show up, and this how they showed up. To the T. She just went overboard, because I'm like, well, goddamn, they're not hiding nothing. They're not keeping nothing to the imagination. I watched one of them shows. She put on a clinic. Like, it was wild occult. Yo, they did the church shit, right? Like, they was positioning her like she was a Lady Madonna, and the shit was elaborate because it deals with sound and light, so it elicits emotions. You was caught up in it. And then they went straight to debauchery. Like, they didn't even They didn't spend 1 second. They set the scene up for you to feel it and to get there. And instead of depositing you in that scene, she went straight to Louisiana twerking. Like, she just went ratchet real quick. I was like, her Lilith comes out at unprecedented junctures. Feel me? Yeah. She's charging people top tier for you to go in there and have a magical experience, a transformational magical experience at top dollar. You're looking at performance art. You're looking at magic. And she's operating as the high priestess. It's not Madonna no more. It's Beyonce. But you have to understand that music as a craft is masonry. Do they have Masonic lodges that musicians come under? Sure they do. Do they have secret society that musicians belong to? Sure they do. If you came to the lecture, I told you the names of those societies. Right? But more so, that's more important than that, is that musicians belong to a fraternal order. Period. As a musician, you're like 1% of the people on the planet that have the ability to manipulate magnetic fields. So you belong to a fraternity. It is an invisible lodge. You know what I'm saying? And you're always traveling, so you're a traveling man. You're touring the planet. You're tapping into the magnetic fields of people in the audience who you're able to change their perceptions in real time. Let me show you. Let me show you the science of it. So we just don't be dealing with things that are fluff. Fuck what I feel. You know what I'm saying? Can I show and prove? The extraordinary connection between their auditory context and emotional processing areas allows for intensified, right, emotional experiences. So this is the science of people who feel music, right? People who have goosebumps. You know what I'm saying? They're saying that you have superior brains because there's areas of your brain that are activated to become receptive to music that other people's are not, making you superior. The presence of more fibers and increased efficiency in these regions, right, signifies enhanced processing between them. So again, the evidence of your advancement is the fact that you experience music the way that you do. It's saying that you have more muscle fibers, brain fibers. So your potentiality, you know, to understand frequencies and to do shit different is greater because of how your brain is wired. Some individuals experience an extraordinary phenomenon. Their bodies responding deeply to the rhythm of music. Now, this is the shit that we take for granted because you read and it confused, like, everybody don't do this? No, everybody does not do this. As you can tell by evidence of how they respond to music, everybody does not feel music the same way. Everyone is, all sentient beings are not created equal. And this is the shit that I'm just saying. That yeah, we cool, we're all part of the human genome and shit like that, but we all not the same. Even amongst melanated people, we're all not equal. Right? I know some fucking mutants, my nigga, like, they could do wild shit that I can't do yet. So I'm always talking about getting goosebumps listening to music, and that being a clear indicator. If I was an A&R, that would be, I would lead with goosebumps. Because when I get goosebumps listening to music, nigga, I know that that's a one in, that's a classic. That's something that's gonna resonate and ripple through time and space. And I almost never miss if I get goosebumps from the music. Feel me? Yes, so the liberal arts, the quadrivium that you see in the picture that I put up on masonry, that was taught to the Europeans by the Moors, right? Who set up, remember, we set up Oxford, we set up all higher learning institutes. We set up the Ivy League schools, Cornell, Oxford, Harvard, all of that shit was, the Moors were responsible for doing that. So music, we were known as something called troubadours, entertainers. They just showed you the movie about the brother who was playing the violin out of France, who was the fencer, right? Alexander Dumas, Rasputin, right? We were literary giants, and we were musical geniuses. Beethoven, all of that's Moorish, right? Because we mastered astronomy, we mastered masonry, right? We taught these people this. These are our students. They're custodians. This a nigga that you was like, hold my book bag, I'm about to have a fight. And then the police came and locked you up and you did life and shit. And this nigga came away with your book bag with all of your notes in it. And he outside trying to pretend to be you. That's all that's taking place, y'all. Please understand that. And some of them have become very proficient at studying those notes, interpreting those notes. They've given themselves permission to expand upon them notes, or they have found corresponding notes to the cliff notes to work with that notes to give them an expanded consciousness. That's what we're dealing with. You feel me? That's what we're dealing with. So, not to take nothing away from their research, not to take nothing away from their teachers, not to take nothing away from their approach to acquiring information. But again, there's some things that come natural to us that we need to be appreciated for, that we need to appreciate amongst ourselves, to understand that these are our gifts. These are the things that make you unique and make you different, and you need to embrace your differentness. And you should be acknowledged for your differentness, and they should be respected for your differentness, because you have some mutant abilities. You have some powers that other people don't have. And it's just, we should stop being persecuted for our powers and praise for them instead. And failure to do so means that you are a hater, right? And you fear something is greater than you. And you're never going to make the quantum leap when the aliens come, because you're going to be hating on them. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be trying to do dick measuring contests with aliens. And you're going to feel a way if they woody is longer than yours. So work at a very rudimentary level right now to get the hate out your blood. You know what I'm saying? So you could bow down to something that's greater than you and not feel no way about it. You know what I'm saying? You could really benefit from being bumped up.
The security advisory. For your safety, please do not leave baggage unattended. Unattended baggage will be removed and may be discarded. All persons must maintain control of their personal property, including carry-on baggage and checked baggage, to avoid...
Yeah, that's what it's like. You know, you handed the book bag over, y'all had a fight, you uppercutted the dude, he hit his head on the curb and you killed him. And they said that was premeditated because you were saying that he got to meet you outside 3 o'clock and shoot the fade. So they called that murder one. And you got life. You know what I'm saying? Because the son that you killed, he was the son of a senator. And the dorky nigga that was in chemistry class with you, that you was really out there protecting, because he was the herb that got, you know, he got bullied on and you try to step up and defend him. Yeah, he got away with your book bag with all your notes. You know what I'm saying? With your binder book in it, with all your deep shit. And he became you. You know what I'm saying? He became you. And you gave him some sauce. You was calling him, collecting shit, helping him fill in the blanks, because you wanted your work to be heard and seen. You know what I'm saying? But now he put his name on it. He can't explain this shit. You know what I'm saying? He can just regurgitate it, but he can't explain it. And your children is in awe, because they hearing this nigga spit, and they ain't even know that they had got their daddy's book bag and his notes. Now they over here mesmerized by this nigga. And that's where we at. You know, that's where we at as a people. And I pray for peace on earth with, you know, everybody, you know, some Dr. King shit, you know what I'm saying? That my children can play with your children and we could all be children. And on the mountaintop, yeah, I pray for all of that. I have a full intention, you know, that we get to see that. But I want to see my people stop being fucked up, man, and disrespected and neglected or finessed. You know what I mean? Again, penalized for their superpowers. You know, that has to stop. They should not be punished for their powers. They should be told that, yo, there's something very unique about you. You know what I mean? And you chose up and you made a right decision and came into this particular paradigm and dimension. You know, you chose these parents. You chose this spacesuit. Yeah, there's something special about you. There's something special about you. You know what I'm saying? And if we can find a place where we can complement one another and we know that we have a mutual enemy and that enemy is ignorance, is the system, right? Our enemy is any and everyone and anything that's attempting to hold us back from greatness. That's our enemy. We should unify around that. Because I want the best for your family. I want you to have a full experience where you can be beneficial to somebody else's family and open a door or offer an opportunity. And that's whether you white, black, brown, Chinese. You know what I'm saying? Whether you a crayon or whether you a sovereign. Right? Whether you identify as your straw man or your flesh and blood. I still want the best for you. Right? But I want respect to be given to this planet. I want respect to be given to the waterways. I want respect to be given to the birds. I want us to understand that insects are things as well. Living entities and beings, might even be aliens. I want us to see them as equitable, right? That they're deserving the same way. You know what I mean? I want us to respect, you know, the sanctity and the purity of water. I want us to acknowledge that that we know that we're living in a fishbowl, and whatever we do to the air supply, we're doing to ourselves. I want us to be nerds and geeks again when it comes to science, so we can respect the subtle nature of things and really be kings and sovereigns and, you know what I'm saying, high vibrational beings and custodians of the planet. And God bodies.
Ladies and gentlemen, this will serve as your final warning.
Right? Real grown shit. Responsible. That aliens wouldn't have no option. They have to pull up to the hood like, yo, man, see what y'all niggas out here doing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so these are the things that I would love to see, you know what I'm saying? But look, I spoke long enough. I'm not going to keep you guys any longer. I do appreciate the time that was spent. Go to the link in my bio, tap in for our Shasta retreat. We're going back to the mystical, magical lands of Mount Shasta. On August 31st, we got 30 days to go. At the end of this month, we'll be in Shasta, right? In Oregon as well. We're running through the planetary root chakra system of the planet. And then after that, we're going to go to Sedona and do the same thing on that grid. Feel me? Charge up that grid. All right? So until then, yeah, where's that at? Mount Shasta's in Northern California, right outside of Eureka in Weed, California, where the gold rush started, and where even the green rush of weed started. Mount Shasta is up there. And Sedona's in Arizona. It's in the mystical part. These are all the vortex regions of the planet. Let me play you the commercial. So that's Mount Shasta. Mystical Mountains of Mount Shasta. Google it if you're not familiar with that region of the planet. I need you to do your research before you come up there. You know what I'm saying? Because we're going to hit the ground running. And you should kind of know, you know, what that region is hitting for. You should study any place that you're going, any region. You should familiarize yourself with the backstory, the history of it, you know, what the features are, you know, what it's hitting for. Like, do your research, and it's going to be rewarding because it's some amazing, you're going to learn some amazing things. It's going to blow your mind. I challenge you. Do the same thing for Sedona. Read up on these places. Look into it. Find out what the indigenous original people are saying. Find out what the colonizers say. And see if you could read between the lines. Feel me? See if you could read between the lines if it's something for you. If it's something that you can benefit from. You know what I mean? If you want that slice of peace. If you want to open up your consciousness and expand your consciousness. You know what I mean? Are you ready to see some craft? Are you ready to have one of those experiences? Can you handle it? Right? But it's a safe space, so, you know, we're there for you. You know what I mean? You don't got to go through it alone. And that's what's up. All right? So with that, y'all, I want to say peace. Appreciate you. Until next time.